In this video, I just want to show you how to make some shelves on a wall. This is not elaborate, it's not free floating, this is not the best design as far as, aesthetics or, looking great for an interior design. This is just basically if you need to throw up shelves in a pantry or a closet, or, in my case here, this is a kitchen. But if you just need to throw up some shelves and you don't want to spend a lot of time and a lot of money, this is just a little helpful video and showed how I did it, and it was pretty quick and pretty easy. I think overall, if you buy everything brand new, it's about $50, and that's buying I think in this case I bought a 6-foot piece of 1x10, and then I bought the wall brackets to mount the shelves on. Then of course this also includes inserts. It's really great if you can hit a stud in the wall to put the brackets to, but in my case it missed the stud completely to build these shelves. But it took probably about maybe, I think around an hour is what I had in this totally. That's me setting the wood up on some horses, cutting it, and then bringing it in, and then mounting the brackets to it and then putting it on the wall. I'm not even sure if it was even completely an hour, but it's pretty quick, it's pretty easy, and I just wanted to show you how I did that in this video, just to share with all your do-it-yourself enthusiasts. Okay, we've got a 6-foot piece of 1x10, just pine. And when you're shopping for it, try to find the ones that have the least amount of knot holes, or the ones that don't have knot holes that are real rough. These are pretty much smooth. Of course, it depends on what you're going to do, which side you're going to use to be the face up side, which side you're going to have the face up down, depending on if you see the top or the bottom. This is a decent enough piece. I mean, I could have looked a little harder for a better piece, but since we know it's 6 foot, 92-foot shelves, that means I'm going to get 3 shelves out of this. So what I'm going to do is mark every 2 feet. Use a square. So it's 1, 2, 3, 3 shelves. Now we use the saw. I'll have to clamp. It's best to clamp your piece of wood to your horses so that it doesn't slide around while you're trying to cut it. Now I've got my mark, and I've got my saw. I've got a hand saw. And I'm not going to use the hand saw to cut this with. I'm going to use my circular saw. I get a much better cut. But if all you have is a hand saw, just keep your saw in an angle. Don't try to come up and down, and don't try to cut across the line like that, even though you think that might be the better idea. You want to cut just like this. But let's jump over to the circular saw. Well, let's first start talking about the adjustment of the saw. I've got the guard up to the flush, and you can see how far down the blade is past it. Now you can leave it like this, and if you're really good about getting it straight in line, it'll cut straight. But if you're off, it's going to be hard to correct it. So what you probably want to do is bring your saw up to where it at least comes down to maybe about a 1/2 inch below. Or if I'm cutting a piece of plywood or something, I'll barely have the saw blade sticking through. That way I can kind of guide and steer it, just in case I'm on a long cut, then in case I'm getting off line. But this is a short piece of wood, and this is just in general, and it's about a 1/2 inch below the bottom, so we'll go with that. Be sure to have some clamps on your wood, and make sure your clamps are, I always find it best to make the long part of your clamp, even if you're using a C-clamp or a quick clamp like these, make sure that the long end is pointing down. That way you don't get snagged on it or hurt, and it's out of the way of the saw. You have to make sure you got enough room between what you're going to cut and your clamp, so that it doesn't interfere with when you're cutting with the wood. If you don't have clamps, get somebody to hold the wood for you to keep it from moving around, but make sure they're away from the blade.
Now in my case, I don't really care how great they are, so I'm just going to take a piece of 80 grit. But you can get an electric sander, you can get a belt sander, you can finish this off, like I said, paint it, stain it, whatever you want to do. I'm just going to knock off some of the sharper edges and splintering. Do that real quick to all 3 shelves, and then we'll be ready to mount the brackets on the wall. Now as you can see, I've already got my brackets on my shelf and screwed in and everything. And I was doing this just to test before the video, but I wanted to show you what it looks like before I get started. First off, you're going to want to pick your side that you want facing up the seam, unless you're going to paint it. This all depends on what you're going to do. If you're going to make these shelves look really pretty, you're going to sand them and paint them, or you're going to stain them and urethane them. I ever slightly feel just like a bit of sap or something on this. Of course, you can always put a layer of something on this. So I think I'll make that the bottom and this the top. And then you're going to look at the edge and see which one you want to the facing. This one has a little bit better edge on it, so I'll turn it around. Now I'll get into the stud thing. Where this is going to go, unfortunately, the stud's going to be about right dead middle. And I'm not going to put a bracket in the middle because I don't have any plans on putting anything heavy. This is considered an 8x10 bracket. Now it's 10 inches this way and 8 inches that way. Now you can get a bracket that's I think 8 by, let's see, or is it 10 by 10? I forgot what the next one up is. I have to look it up and tell you in the description. But in other words, when you put it on there, it's going to come up to the very end. Now if you're going to put a lot of weight, you know the weight's going to be out there, that's fine to have it out to the end. But usually you're going to put a screw in there. I wouldn't recommend putting a screw this close to the edge. I mean, of course if you pilot drill it, it'll be fine, or should be fine, but it still could possibly crack it. Plus you're going to see the screw in the bracket at the end. I like to get my brackets when they go up against the wall where it's covering at least 3/4 or more of the board to support it. And it just depends on how much, but again, it's all going to depend on what kind of weight you're going to have. But for this case, I'm just going to put these about, I'm not going to put them evenly spaced, you know, where it's a third of it. I'm just going to bring them in a little bit. And I already did the other one. I figured 4.5 would be plenty. So I mean, it's not rocket science, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to take this other shelf, I've already put the brackets on. I'm just going to bump it up there. It has to pretend to be the wall. And just going to push it. It's about roughly 4.5. It doesn't really have to be exact. It's not, we're not building a space shuttle. These screws are going to be so short, there's no reason to get a screw gun or anything else, or even a drill bit. You can just use an awl. Kind of center it and just push it in. And that gives you your starter. And you can see it's a big no effort to just screw that in. It already gave it its things. If you use a screw gun, it would strip it out. Just so you know, in most cases, the longer side is what goes up against the wall. That way it gets better support. So I'll do the same over here. Just measure 4.5 inches. Back that. Get to the other 2 screws in the bracket in a minute. There's no need in over tightening them either. Alright, so in order to get my hands where you can sit, all I'm doing is just kind of pushing this piece to back it up here, pushing it against it, holding it down, pushing it in with the awl. If you don't have an awl, you can use a nail. Okay. All I've done is push this board against the wall, and I'm looking at my level to see if I'm plumb, or see if I'm level. Just using my awl. I'm going to be using these type of inserts. They're just plastic, and then the screw goes in and expands it behind the wall a little bit. Like I said, if you're going to go with something really heavy, you might want to get the metal toggles that will expand big or fold up behind the back. This is just going to be like for plastic cups and something real light, just to get some of the little tedious stuff, maybe chips, just things out of the way. No drilling required, just work it all in there. Easy peasy. Even though I've already marked the upper holes, I'm just going to go ahead and repress that all, since I've got the two screws in the bottom and it's pretty solid. This helps me actually mark the holes. So basically you can just mark your two bottom holes, and then put the inserts and put the screws in and hold the shelf up there, and then just press real hard like I'm doing here. That way I get good solid markings for it. It doesn't hurt to go ahead and just to make sure that you haven't got messed up, is throw the level back up there and make sure that it's also level before you permanently mount it. Not that much you can do about it, but still level. So. One thing to point out though on this, when you're pushing an awl or a drill or whatever you're going to do to poke a hole in the wall, ensure that there's no electrical wire on the other, like an electrical outlet or switch on the other side. You could get electrocuted. So ensure that, as I already know, on this other side of this wall there's nothing as far as electrical. But is this something that you need to be concerned with? And there you have it, a shelf. Put stuff on it. Like I said, I'm not going to sit my crock pot or, you know, a 30 pack of bottle of water or anything on it. I've plastic cups, potato chips, just lightweight stuff. That's really all I'm going to do. And I'm going to put 3 on here, and that'd be it. But that's how you put a shelf.
And that's pretty much all there is to it, is putting up a shelf on a wall. I think these are number 6 anchors in the wall, which means it holds probably like 25, 28 pounds. So I mean, you could probably put a 6-pack, well, you can put a 6-pack of drinks or something like that on there, even probably a 20-pack of water. But like I said, in my case, that's just going to be potato chips, extra cups. It's just things to get things out of the floor and out of little cubby holes and just kind of organize better. But that's pretty much it. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward, pretty quick. The cost, like I said, was $50 if you bought everything brand new. If you have plywood, if you're just needing shelves, look around. If you have plywood, you know, you can make your own brackets out of wood if you needed to, but that's pretty much how you put up a shelf.
So that's pretty much how you throw a shelf up quick and easy. It took little effort, it took very little money. Of course, everything's expensive these days, but it took very little money and very little effort to get these shelves, or this shelf put on the wall. I've got to do 2 more, but I mean, it's up to you how many you want to put on the wall. It's up to you on how heavy a bracket you want, if you want the bracket to come all the way to the end, or like I did here where it covers over 3/4 of the shelf. If you're lucky, you can actually hit a stud. That would be great. In my case, I wasn't lucky. If you do have to use lags in the wall, you know, like a toggle bolt, if it's something really going to be heavy, you might want to get a metal type toggle instead of these little plastic inserts. And again, like it's on finishing, if you want to paint it. If you're going to paint it, I would recommend sanding it really smooth, then put a primer on it, and then paint it. And spray can paints now for wood are great. Of course, if you have a spray gun, you can get, you know, really good spray paint for that as well. If you're going to stain it, again, you still need to sand it really smooth, and then stain it, and then I would urethane it. But that's all up to your options of what you're going to be doing. So, but this just wanted to show you how to put a shelf up really quick and easy. And I hope you liked the video. If you did, be sure to like and subscribe, and always check back because I'm always working on something crazy. See you in the next one.